Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Let's get right into the astrology transits that are going to be happening for the 8th through the 14th. Now for those of you who want the cards and the cards only, I'm going to be doing separate card reading for each individual sign the way I normally do for the dates of July 8th through the 14th. This is just going to be dealing with the astrology, the energy, because there's one huge thing going on right now that not a lot of people are talking about, but I think it's so beautiful and important for us to focus on. But I want to start off first on the 8th by just saying that Mercury is going to be squaring Mars, and so yeah, that's just going to be a little weird on the 8th. Guys, just keeping it real, all right? You guys know I don't like to sugarcoat stuff. It can lead us to very rash thinking, very rush thinking, not thinking before we speak. It could be a little challenging in relationships and just anything that can be potentially confrontational. So probably not the best energy to debate, to talk politics, to talk religion, to talk about the state of the world right now. It just, again, it's a very sort of like brimming kind of energy, I like to call it. It's on the 8th. It's going to come and go, guys. Mars is going to be really impacting us. I started talking about it the other day, but I made a decision to actually not make a Mars video until Mars actually goes retrograde, which isn't going to be until September. So let's not worry about that. There is a way more important retrograde that I want to talk about that I think is really ultimately so awesome for us because it creates healing, and that's Chiron. So Chiron's going to be going retrograde in Aries from, now check it out, July 11th all the way to December, 157 days. Chiron, the wounded healer, which helps heal us by making us look at things in the past, by making us look at our patterns, in a really good way though, guys, because Aries is in there. Remember, Aries is the baby of the zodiac. It's the first sign. It's think about Aries, ruled by Mars, by the way. Yeah. Like an excited child. Like, I don't know if I should do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. And feeling that level of confidence and feeling really good about how things could possibly turn out for us, right? But it's going to take a little bit of work. And that work, though, is going to be so energetically supported during this transit that is a long transit. It's a long transit. Chiron is hanging out in there. So, and just to remind you guys, those of you who are watching this probably already know, it's like we have this constant 5 planet retrogrades that have been going on all summer that's going to be going through to the fall. Well, Mercury is going to be going direct during this week, but Chiron is going to be going retrograde, sort of to replace that, right? So we have all our big hitters up in the sky retrograde. That's why we're all feeling sort of like heavy in the planning phase of stuff. You know what I mean? Going through stuff, just feeling like one brick wall after another with pops of like light shining in here or there, but not feeling like anything's really happening yet, but feeling like everything is brimming. Okay, we all know that that's going on, right? We've been talking about that. But I want to talk about Chiron going retrograde because Chiron going retrograde in Aries brings to light identity issues that we've carried from our past. Things that maybe we started looking at already, or maybe things that are going to be coming to the surface that we're going to feel pushed to actually look at. And this is a great opportunity to get to kind of like, this is just so timely, guys, for us to just stop and say, who am I really supposed to be? And to stop trying to be who you think you're supposed to be, who you, for some reason in your mind's eye, think you might want to be, or that somebody else thinks you should be. Now, we could apply this. Everything I'm about to say, guys, can be applied on a societal and global level, but I'm not going to go there. I'm going to keep it to the personal, but you guys could connect the dots, okay, according to what I'm going to be discussing, because I think even Chiron is an asteroid, it's not a planet, but as I'm discussing what this is going to mean for us, you tell me in the comments below if you are not vibing this bad boy already. This is a beautiful energy because this is the stuff that makes change. because it's happening in Aries, which is ruled by Mars, right? So here, just on a personal level, it's going to reveal how you maybe tend to people please, right? Where you avoid your true identity because you don't want to step on anyone's foot, you don't want to rock the boat, or you don't even know where you're supposed to even actually be yet. And this can be in any area of your life, guys. This could be in career, this could be in relationships, this could be just in your own skin, where you're just like, wait a minute, why do I do what I do? Why am I making the choices that I'm making? And this is going to allow you to finally turn directly into the path of your soul, right? That soul purpose. And guys, this is almost going into a rabbit hole here that I sort of argued with myself whether I was going to mention or not, but this speaks directly to your nodal energies. This speaks directly to your Black Moon Lilith energies. This is so much beautiful change going on this year, but it all is, the core of it is that we're going to be stopping and really looking at ourselves. It's a great time when we get to see how our past experiences and environments have created the decisions that we've chosen to make, the paths that we've chosen to go down. It's making us look at our childhood, how we were raised, how that ended up molding us. And guys, quite honestly, and this is the thing with Chiron, which is so beautiful, because Chiron often helps us heal those South Node energies, right, that we end up bringing into this life with us from a past life. So even if you had a really beautiful childhood, we all still have stuff. Did you ever wonder where that came from? Thank you, South Node. Thanks, K2, depending on the system that you guys follow. We're bringing this stuff into in from our past life. We're constantly being pushed to elevate our souls, right? And to figure out our soul purpose. And in this energy, we're going to be really looking at our past 3D environments, our childhoods. But even if not that, we're going to be looking at earlier parts in our life and why we do what we do. And if we can't figure it out because it's from a past life and we're not too sure about that, that's okay. It's enough for us to identify when we've done that and at least try to figure out the triggers involved in that experience so that we don't allow those to keep us prisoner to those cycles, right? So that's what's going to be happening here. Get ready for some serious reflection and unbelievable spiritual growth. All of us. I'm not even talking about house placements here, guys, like I normally do. I'm not talking individual signs. I'm talking on a global level. We're all going to be feeling this in certain parts of our lives more than others. I mean, that's just how astrology works. But I wanted to identify a couple of things that are going to really be very helpful, I think, to help you through these patterns. First of all, I'm not one to say write down your dreams, keep a diary and all of that, though I think that stuff is really cool and really helpful. I do it, but I'm not a big proponent of sort of, telling people their process, okay? But what I'm about to tell you, I think on a global scale, even if you don't do it out in reality, at least do it mentally, figure out your patterns. What are your patterns? And again, even though Chiron is only an asteroid, it really does help us to heal because it's bringing up these past experiences that are affecting us now. So you really want to pay attention to things that stand out in your life as a trigger. Think back to very profound experiences, that relationship that absolutely ripped your heart out, that family connection that made you feel alone and isolated, that career situation that started making you question your abilities on a very global scale and are you good enough, any of those things, or choices that you made in your career that maybe ended up completely ending and burning bridges that when you look back in retrospect you're like, oh man, I really wish that didn't happen, or I wish I handled that differently, or why did I even have myself in that situation, kind of thing. So Chiron is really great at helping us to see these things. Because those end up creating blocks in us, and it's the block that ends up creating the cycles. That's what you need to understand. It's the blocks that prevent the growth that end up inciting, I need to get back to something that feels comfortable to me. Even though that pattern I know is unhealthy, I'm going to end up bringing that to myself on an energetic level. We don't mean to do it to ourselves. We're not masochistic like that, I like to think, but it's just the way that we're made. So healing means seeing that you can learn something from the experience. So ask what experience can still teach you that what you can learn from that in order to shift the energy. And a really basic mundane example is like, those of us who grew up in an abusive environment, an abusive home, do you go to great lengths to maintain peace? Or are you overly confrontational because that's a comfortable space for you? Which end of the spectrum did you end up hanging on, right? As you evolved into an adult soul from that experience. You follow what I'm saying? And it's all of that is very important to look at. Now, next, so that's the first thing. Next, you want to acknowledge who you tend to blame for situations in your life. For why you do what you do in a career, why you do what you do in relationships, why situations always end up falling apart on you, why you end up finding yourself energetically with the same type of person, right? In those friendships, in those relationships that you do ultimately choose to get into. Why do family patterns always end up sort of cycling around in a certain way? Who's to blame? Because chances are, and this is not to throw shade. I mean, I'm going through it, you're going through it, we all have to go through this if we want to be the best version of ourselves. Who do we blame? And this is something that it's like the experiences can resurface in a very fresh way. So this is can be painful for sure, because we're being made to not only look at our past experiences, but sit with them. And sit with them in a way where, more than that, sit with them and walk with them. As I always say, those of you who've been watching me, it's very important for us to walk with our emotions in a very non-judgmental way as we allow them to kind of sloth off of us. But there are so many layers to this. And Chiron going retrograde is going to be bringing and digging out even those of us who are very awake, right? And very spiritual, and we've done the work. Guys, we're never done doing the work. We're never done. If you think you're done doing the work, no, you're not. I'm just going to say that. Because we are like this eternal onion that we're always peeling, because we're always learning and we're always growing and we're always evolving. So there's always something for us to learn and grow from. And as we are in reality today, we've lived these many years of experience up to this point to create this incarnation that we are right now. Do you know what I mean? So we need to figure these things out as we go along. So feelings can come flooding back in a way that is going to be inciting feelings to come up so that you can feel that anger and that resentment towards someone, so that you could sit with it and feel it and work it out and learn from it. Now, 100%, I want to say, this is not to say that every experience or any experience really in your life is your fault. This is not a fault thing. This is about recognizing situations and patterns that your soul has found itself in that's created pain, that's created scars, or even in a really good way. This doesn't have to be like negative. This could be like, I know I'm a really open and accepting person because I was really raised in a family that was so accepting and so loving, and understanding that part about yourself. And then maybe you could spread that love around a little bit. Do you know what I mean? So it's not only that, but it's being pushed back to look at these things. For most of us, though, for most of us, there is going to be some pain involved where we're going to have to go back to that pain and go back to that bitterness and go back to that resentment, but in such a beautifully supported way that's totally necessary for us to evolve into this better version of ourselves. And guys, this is the thing. When we heal this kind of stuff, this impacts us on a global level, our career, our personal friendships, our intimate connections, and how we feel in our own skin, how we feel about ourselves. Isn't that the most important part at the end of the day, right? Yeah. So if you notice that you often think about something from your past, or you talk about it with anger, that relationship, that person, this is a great time to really allow yourself to have those feelings to come up, but release. Release them once and for all so that they don't have control over you anymore. And when we're free from placing any kind of blame, right, what happens there is that we're able to decide how to react and not to play victim. Even if we were. Doesn't matter. That's what do I always say, guys? The toothpaste is out of the tube. It's done. It's done. So we have a choice. Are we going to continue to play victim to something and stay stationed in that retrograde? Listen to me. I have Mercury going direct and Mercury and Cancer on my head. But are we gonna station ourselves in that victim mentality? Or are we going to move forward in a way that's really going to help us, right? So again, write down any times that you felt like you were placing the blame, even now. Even now. And if it's a current relationship that you feeling very bitter about, get down and dirty with yourself and say, what emotions does that experience pull up in me that maybe has been pained in me in the past, that's bringing all that ugly stuff up that you really need to look at, all right? Now, really important next idea is get very clear on what it is that you really want for yourself. And I know that sounds kind of like, duh, of course. Isn't that what we're all doing right now in the state of change? But the thing is, Chiron governs synchronicities. Synchronicities is so important, right? That's why I feel like Chiron's not discussed enough. But it's because he's an asteroid and not a planet. But you really want to pay attention to synchronicities and signs that show up in your life right now, because they're going to be showing up to heal you. To heal you. So nothing is by chance, right? Everything is on purpose. So the healing inevitably leads us towards a more clear picture of who we are and what we're here to do. Why are we here? So lots of cool things are going to be popping up where you're going to be like, oh, you know what? Maybe I need to look at that again, that thing from the past. Doesn't mean that you have to return to things from the past, though many of you will be, with a fresh set of eyes and a new perspective and a clean slated soul, by the end of this transit. But not everybody, it's going to be different for all of you. But the layers of fear that can develop over the years can now shed. And that brave Aries energy is really helping us forward and face down the ghosts of our past that keep us running from our true desires and exactly who it is that we're supposed to be and that relationship that we're ultimately meant to have. And why do we get in our own way? Or why do we actually waste our time with these people that we do know on a soul level are never going to be able to bring us what it is that we're looking for? Why do we do that to ourselves? Why? It's tough. A lot of times we don't know it until we're in it, but then for some reason we stay in it. It's going to be, again, different for all of us. But notice what you feel drawn to do most by sitting down and writing where your thoughts dare to go when you dream. Allow yourself to get into that Pisces 12th house energy. Let yourself dream, right? Get into that Aquarius 11th house energy and allow yourself to think about the future in a different way. And what is it that you really want? And, really think about who do you want to be and where do you see yourself going? Don't just think about where you want to go as far as your career. Don't just do that. You have to think about the whole package. Who do you see yourself as being? How do you want to feel? How do you want to feel about yourself? Yeah, figure out what makes you excited. Figure out what makes you excited, right? Don't allow anything to shut you down. Identify, very important in this energy, where have false starts happened in your life. Where you began that job, but then something ended up happening to make it fall apart. Or that relationship, you guys were in a good groove. What ended up happening that fell apart? Was it you? Was it them? Was it a little bit of both of you? And why were you in that energy, right? Really getting in touch with that. All right. And finally, what would you do if you didn't give a crap what anybody thought? What would you do? Right? I kind of started talking about this in my last video, because it's very easy to see how other people's viewpoint, their opinions, their perspective can inflect the choices that we've made in our life, that we still make. This is time to really take stock of who is affecting you in how you live your life. Is it your parents? Is it your significant other? Is it your friends? Is it the societal system? Is it and is it you? Is it just you getting in your own way? And guys, again, don't beat yourself up. You don't know what retrograde energies you might have in your natal chart. You have to really understand your north node. I'm going to be doing more specialized videos on that. Hopefully, if you guys want, I am going to be doing that house one that a lot of you guys did say that you want, what's the dealio with all the houses and how do we act in each house. But this is all about widening your lens to see that there are people like you who live their life joyfully. Many people live their life joyfully. And it's like, what do they do? Well, they live true to themselves and not hyper focus on, needing to serve other people. This doesn't mean you're going to be selfish. This just means that you need to love yourself and heal yourself and figure out where you get in your own way and make the decision to not do that anymore. Because that's got to be a decision. That's not the stuff energetically coming in and saying, here, here's a bucket of healing. If you eat a spoonful of this every day for a week, you're going to be all, great. No, we have to make the decision to heal ourselves, right? We have to release wounds from the past, and we have to make the decision to do that. We have to make the decision to heal ourselves there and to just release, We really need to make that decision to release. So this is a pretty long transit that we have to be very cognizant while we're going through it, because we don't want to miss this transit, guys. We have to cognizantly release the past and say, it's done. There's nothing I can do about that thing anymore. Now what I have to do is realize what it's created in me, that experience, and I need to look at it, understand it, and release it. Let it go. Let it go. A very helpful ritual that I do that might be helpful is I make the list. I light a candle and I read the list aloud, and then I blow the candle out. It's gone. Past is done. It's done. 157-day phase. This is long. So the sooner you start to welcome your feelings to the table and deal with them, the sooner you're going to free yourself from the shackles of your mind. And you're going to know what area it is. Wear those scars proudly. And remember that some people that go on, some people that go on to do great things through their scars or despite their scars make huge impacts on the world at large. And that's more of a global commentary. But I want you to understand that you're not a victim to your past. You follow? Learn from it. Decide to be better and do better. If you keep doing what you did, you're gonna keep getting what you got, right? And take those lessons and those scars and do something really beautiful for yourself with them. Really. Really. And we have so many retrogrades going on, for goodness sake, guys. My goodness, right? We have all the big hitters going on, And this is going to be happening until the fall, really. So this is going to be such a fabulous time for reflection, for healing. And if you feel like you're moving forward with less speed, it's because we're being asked to kind of look behind us and look at our past and look at our history and look at how we've come to be where we are and who we are right now, and just surrender to the process. It's a beautiful energy. It really is. Now I'm going to kind of step out of that, and I want to talk about a couple of other really positive things towards the end of this month. We have on the 12th, Mercury is going to be stationing direct, right? It's been retrograde in Cancer. It's not going to be out of shadow though until like the 26th. So that's when things are going to start really lightening up in the Mercury area, having to do with the communication and everything that Mercury means. I do want to mention a couple of things having to do with the Sun on the 12th and the 14th. So the Sun is going to be trining Neptune on the 12th, and the Sun is going to be opposing Jupiter on the 14th. So I like these because the first one on the 12th, Sun trining Neptune, we're going to be gaining a deeper understanding of what you want, we all want, right? And how you might go about achieving your goals and dreams. This is a really nice manifesting kind of energy. Really, it's good for socializing too. Great to get into. Actually, it's a really good time to meet somebody new. This is going to be very spiritually based because it's got that Neptune in there. Neptune's the 12th house of just beautiful energy. Those of us who are in relationships already, beautiful Beautiful, new, insightful, shared new vision for the future is what a lot of us are going to be going through. And there's just going to be a lighter energy to it, which is really nice. I like that. And then on the 14th, we have Sun opposite Jupiter transit. So that's going to bring a lot of opportunities for success. Dare I say, I know it sounds cheesy, but good fortune and increased happiness. It really is. Because I want you to think about it. This is a nice, because you say, oh, Sun is opposing Jupiter. It's still, it's really positive, because remember, the Sun is like the groundwork, right, that's being laid. And Jupiter is all about luck and expansion, right? So we have the Sun, and then we have all of this luck and expansion, but the Sun is so bright, it shines this light for cultivation on everything. So everything's going to seem to fall into place without too much effort, leading you to believe that you're on this lucky streak in some gifted way. There's a little caveat here, though, with this. For those of us who have been doing the right thing, being responsible, being good people, right? Being good people, if we're humble, you are more likely to be super grateful for the wins in this energy and be able to share the love and share the joy and all of that. All right? Because this is really about karma coming back in a beautiful way. So really good stuff there. If not, though, if you haven't been very humble, if you haven't been doing the right thing, you can experience a loss of ego that can be seen as a form of punishment here for previous acts of greed which left others without. So whether that's financial, whether that's in a state of want emotionally, like this is like if it was a bad deal, if you like ghosted somebody in a relationship and it left somebody without, meaning like without resolution, without understanding, without love, you know, without, okay. And those are just a couple of examples. You're going to know what I mean. But this transit would force you then to examine your own behaviors and motives and give opportunity, though, for really good personal and spiritual growth to see why you do those things and to not do them anymore. You know what I mean? So that's what we're going to be experiencing now. This is a long video for a week, but obviously this energy, particularly the Chiron energy, is going to be going out until December. So I hope this was helpful for you guys in some way. I'm going to go over to my table and start pulling cards for this week for each of the individual signs. So I'll see you guys on the other side. Take care now. Bye-bye.